Hello my little learners, you can call me Lovegood, and welcome to the Podfic's Baton Pass for Traffic Light Trio by Itslivybear. The way this works is that I'm reading chapter 18, Link's read the previous chapter, and Oakshadow 5 will be reading the next chapter, passing along who will be reading Traffic Light Trio until the Podfic is finished. The full playlist and link to this fic are both on my latest post, so please go and check that out. Now, on to the chapter summary. Summary. Izuku tries to avoid throwing his rescuers under the bus, and Aizawa gets a massive headache. Shouto had never been simultaneously thankful and resentful that he had stayed late. Personally, he would call this early. It was pushing 3 a.m, and Hisashi was no doubt going to heckle him come tomorrow. Today. No, tomorrow. It wasn't today until he slept or the sun came up, whichever came first. And that was still 2 or 3 hours away. He wasn't sure which one, but one of them. But there was his number one problem child standing awkwardly outside of UA, no doubt not having his student pass with him, so it wasn't like he could get inside. No, he wasn't even wearing the outfit he had been kidnapped in 6 hours ago. God, it had only been 6 hours ago. Some parts of Hosu were probably still warm from where they had been on fire. Wait a goddamn minute, this kid wasn't even injured, and he was wearing clothing he didn't own. Problem child. A green head bobbed up, and he scratched his head sheepishly. Hi, Sensei. Shouto tried to figure out how to word his questions in a way that made sense and actually asked what he wanted to know, but in the end he gave up. What? Oh, the boy jumped. Do you mean what happened? Sure, start with that. Actually, come inside, get off the street. He waved his pass at the door to let the kid go into UA, walking silently into the teacher's lounge and just listening to the soft steps of the nervous kid. Why was this kid nervous? Did he do something wrong in his miraculous escape and recovery? Is there a body Shouto is going to have to hide? He walked into the teacher's office and made a beeline for the coffee machine. You want one? The kid started and shook his head. Adrenaline hasn't worn off yet, and I think I took a power nap of sorts. Tea? No thank you. Shouto sat heavily on the couch and sipped the fresh, brewed and pitch black coffee, raising both eyebrows and shaking his head slightly, eyes closed as it settled in. Now, what? So what do you want to know? Yes. Okay, I'll go based on what I remember then. I was in Hosu, pretty sure I was fighting Stain, but then it got fuzzy and I passed out from blood loss. I wake up in what I think is a hospital, but then Uraraka comes in the door, and no, it turns out I'm just in one of the bedrooms in the League's hideout. League bedrooms look like hospital rooms. Midoriya froze, then nodded slowly. Yes. Continue. Okay, right, so he brings me into this bar, and Kurogiri walks me to All for One. Shouto choked on his coffee, spitting some burning coffee into his lap and blinking, suddenly incredibly awake. You what? Yeah, it was terrifying. Also, apparently he has a son, which is also terrifying. He just talked, and then his face got carefully blank. And then I escaped. Alone. Yes, from All for One. Midoriya looked away. Well, he didn't exactly give chase, if that helps. Shouto pinched the bridge of his nose. You were sent to the criminal mastermind of the underground that almost no one hears about unless they're in deep shit, and he just let you go. He watched the boy startle at the swear, but honestly, it was too early in the morning / late in the night to care about language. This kid had been in the clutches of the most feared man in the underground, the bane of the underground world, and all its heroes and villains alike, and had not only walked out unscathed, but had been essentially let go after being healed. For what purpose? Midoriya, show me your injury. He jumped and held out his left arm. There, on his forearm, were 2 long gashes, perfectly healed as if they were at least 6 months to a year old. And he just healed them. The kid looked away and muttered something under his breath that even Shouto's sharp ears couldn't catch. His gaze sharpened. Say that again. It was a regeneration quirk. Shouto's eyes narrowed. You mean a healing quirk? Regeneration quirks only work on a person who... Oh goddammit, please tell me you aren't about to go into a coma. No, he took it back, but apparently it should have happened already if it was going to. Shouto sighed. That's not much better. Maybe it's because you're such a late bloomer. He stiffened, and Shouto rolled his eyes. Kid, it doesn't take a genius to read a file. If you had told me, we could have set you up with a quirk counselor. You had no control of your quirk, but that doesn't seem to be a problem now. In the future, please tell important things like this to your teachers instead of your friends first, okay? He looked away, but Shouto could swear he saw some relief in the boy's face. Of course. Sorry, Aizawa-sensei. He grunted. So, the escape. Want to run by me what really happened? He really did just let me go. Shouto sighed. Whatever. I just recalled that I forgot about 5 things I should have done as soon as you showed up, so I'm going to make some calls. He'd been so surprised and tired it completely slipped his mind to, call people. He called Recovery Girl first, letting her know the kid was back and probably fine since he was healed, but like he expected, she insisted on coming over and giving him a checkup. In the meantime, he called first Nezu, informing him the kid was back and safe. Then he called the kid's mother. She was actually awake and immediately burst into tears at the news, promising to rush right over to see him. Aizawa-sensei? He sighed and looked up at the panicking kid. What? We need to call All Might. Why on earth would we do that? Beside the kid, no question being his favourite student, he saw no reason to inform the buffoon sooner than necessary. He needs to know about All-For-One and his son. Why? Because, they have a history? Oh, of course they do. Shouto pinched his brow and pulled up the phone number, staved under blonde idiot number 2, number 1, of course, being Hisashi. It rang 3 times before sleepy Yagi picked up. Aizawa? Found the kid. Immediately, the number 1 hero sounded more awake. You found Midoriya? Is he there? Yes and no. You can't talk to him or come to my location, especially because I'm not giving it. Apparently, you have some connection to All-For-One and should thus be informed of something. The line was so silent that Aizawa almost would have thought the call disconnected, except for the fact that that usually had a dial tone. But then Yagi spoke. And what is this something? Apparently, the guy has a son. There was a loud crash on the other end, and Shouto pulled the phone away from his head, grimacing. Do we know who it is? Shouto raised an eyebrow at Midoriya. I don't know. Do we know who it is? The kid shook his head. No, but he said his son is firmly on the hero's side, and not as a spy or anything, genuinely on the side of heroes. Shouto shrugged and turned back to the phone. Apparently, he's directly opposed to his dad, and that isn't going to change soon. Granted, this information is coming from the guy himself, so take it with a grain of salt. Now, care to inform me why you know about the boogeyman when half of the underground doesn't? You recall my injury. This is where you say he had nothing to do with that? Well, he did, but I also got him good. So much I had assumed he was dead. Well, Shouto said dryly. Clearly not the case, seeing as he had a chat with the problem child. He spoke to... Shouto pressed the end-call button, already feeling the stress of the late night catching back up with him as Recovery Girl strode purposely into the room, immediately accosting the kid to check him over as fast as she could, fretting, and her bun incredibly sloppy. Shouto was not about to point out she was still wearing her nightgown under her lab coat and tucked into her sweatpants. Now really wasn't the time. Nezu popped out of a vent, because of course he did, startling the kid horribly, but Shouto just took it in stride. Midoriya, so good to see you alive and well, and in good health, I trust. Chio huffed. He's perfectly healthy and fine, but I have no doubt he'll crash within the hour. Nezu nodded. Your mother will be here within 10 minutes to pick you up, so no harm there, and we will be sending you to Sukuuchi tomorrow to get your statement. I'm sure Aizawa has already demanded answers due to your unusual circumstances, but I can assure you we are incredibly glad to see you safe and sound. Midoriya eyed him and nodded. Oh, and also, there were no moo in the place I was. In tanks. A lot of them. Shouto pinched his brow again. Do you know the address? No, but I can ask, yes. Let me just look it up. So the kid had definitely been rescued by someone. After a few seconds, he showed them a picture of a map, a location circled. It was clearly planned out for 4 different search parties, with potential locations crossed out in every district of Kamino. Excellent, Nezu hummed. I will let the police know and we can mobilize the team immediately. Do inform your rescue team of our thanks. Midoriya nodded, then tensed. Deer caught in headlights. Kid, Shouto sighed. You don't have to tell us who rescued you, since I have a pretty good idea anyway, but if they or you have any more information, it will help the police. The kid looked away, guilty. I don't want them to get in trouble. They will get detention at the worst. Midoriya Inko burst in at that moment, Nezu having given her the address to the campus, and wrapped her child in a hug, already crying profusely. It ran in the family apparently, because now the kid was a mess too. Shouto turned to Nezu. Can I go home now? Quite. You are helping your own intern tomorrow, after all. We'll handle things here. Shouto was so tired. This was a pretty strong deterrent for ever working this late again. He would no doubt do the same thing tomorrow. Alrighty, my little Lunas, that's the end of this one. Sorry for any background noise you may hear in this chapter. And, of course, the full playlist and link to his fic are both on my latest post, so please go and check that out. Bye, little Lunas.